Hi everyone, and thanks for tuning in to Indepencils. My name's Brandon, and I like to pride myself on the fact that I can think without the pressures of the political bias bullshit. We are most active on facebook.com/Indepencils, or just search for Indepencils. You can also find us on Twitter @Indepencils, or check out our YouTube channel. Just search, you guessed it, Indepencils. Our first guest on the program is a woman by the name of Diana. We met on Facebook several years ago and have talked quite often since then. She's a good cyber friend of mine. I guess you could call it that. So give me a second. Let me get her on the phone.
Hello,
Hi, Diana. How are you?
I'm fine, Brandon.
Awesome. Well, to let everyone know, I invited Diana onto the Indepencils. I screw that up every single time, I think. Audio cast that we just launched and got off the ground here. It's actually an independent project. It's going to take a while to build this up, but Diana is actually our first guest on the program. So, first of all, it's Pennsylvania law. I actually have to get your permission, Diana, in this recording to record your call. Is that okay?
You have my permission.
That is great. All right, my name's Brandon. This is Diana. Today's topic is going to be about President Donald Trump, and we might delve into a little bit of religious talk too. Diana has a pretty cool background in her upbringing and her thoughts on religion, which I want everyone to hear because it's very, very unique. It's different than mine. I want to let everyone know that if you want to be on this program, you don't have to share the same beliefs as me. I just want you to be able to hold an intelligent conversation and be able to handle any arguing or challenging that happens. So we got Diana today. And I think I want to start off by asking you, Diana, your political persuasions and stance. One, are you more liberal? I know what you are and who you are, but for everybody else that's listening, um, tell me a little bit about your political stance.
Well, I would say that I stand to the left. I voted for Hillary only because I didn't want Trump to get in.
Okay, so
I was a Bernie person.
you were a Bernie person. That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, so I was too. I
Yeah.
actually voted for Bernie Sanders. In the primary, I couldn't vote because I was in the hospital. One thing that's kind of funny. I was in the hospital. I think you know about this, Diana. I had organ failure. I was in there for 3 weeks. Obviously not a laughing matter, but I woke up. I was
Well, you can
sedated.
smile about it now.
What's that?
I said you can smile about it
Right,
now.
right. Yeah, I survived, so that's
You're
good.
all good.
So I woke up, and Laura, my girlfriend, and she's great. She was there like every night she could be when she didn't have to work, and she brought Sean with her. I mean, it was well, Sean didn't actually come along until I started therapy. Anyway, beside the point, I woke up 12 days after sedation. Um, I woke up from sedation, and Laura's like, "Guess what? Do you know who's president?" I said, "No, I missed that. Crap," because I was sedated. Um, Yep, it's Donald Trump. I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." I was like, "How did that happen?" I said, "I thought for sure Hillary had this election in the box or whatever that phrase is, but I was wrong." And I called the nurse. I'm like, nurse comes in, and I'm like, "Nurse," I said, "I was just told Trump is president. Do you mind sedating me again for the next 4 years?" No, I didn't really say that, but thinking back, I kind of wish I would. But that wasn't the greatest news to wake up to. I thought Hillary had the election. I would have voted for Hillary had I not been in the hospital. But I have a negative vibe from Trump, and it's not because I'm liberal, and it's not because I'm registered Democrat, even though I would have wanted Bernie Sanders in there the most. My feeling with Donald Trump is I think a widespread feeling in this country. One, I think he's unfit to be president. Two, I think he's inexperienced. He hasn't even really been involved in politics, so he doesn't really understand. Doesn't seem like he understands a lot of it. Three, it feels like this country's kind of trying to turn into a dictatorship led by Trump. What do you think?
I don't think he runs the country. I think Bannon runs the country.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. Did you
That's
see
my
this?
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't I wasn't sedated, and I still felt the same way you did when you won. So I needed to be sedated.
It just put me out. Just put me out for the first term. Hopefully something good happens, right? And I was just shocked. And you know what the weird thing was is that I was in a hospital when I woke up still. And I had the TV on and there was just nobody was really even talking about it. It almost seemed like everybody was in shock because it had just happened. I know I didn't see it happen because I was unconscious,
He
but
didn't even win the popular vote. I mean, he won the electoral vote, which the Republicans have jerry-rigged for years. That's why they have the Senate and the House and him.
are you talking about how they separate the districts and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah.
I honestly don't know too much of how the redistricting thing works, and I'd have to do more research on that.
It makes blocks. Blocks of
Yeah,
people.
I know I didn't like how the primary worked in the Democratic Party either. I felt like Hillary was already destined to win via the superdelegates.
Yep,
I don't feel like Bernie even had a chance. Yeah.
Oh, only the people wanted Bernie.
Well, I think, and I'll probably catch some flack for this. I think the smart people wanted Bernie, and I'm not saying people aren't smart that wanted Hillary. I think Hillary was the second best option, but I think the direction Bernie Sanders was offering to this country was the direction most first world countries in the West are headed: socialized healthcare, healthcare guaranteed as a right because you're a human being. Damn it.
Mm-hmm. I know, I agree, but the thing is there's so much money in politics, and Bernie was for really getting rid of, lobbyists,
Right.
trying to get the money out of politics, and I think that's where it
Yeah,
came from.
I agree with you. I think that's
I mean, Hillary played, she played ball,
right. Right, exactly. And Hillary was an established politician, and so was basically every other Republican. Maybe not Rand Paul so much. I'm not too sure about him, but it was interesting as the most popular candidates, in my opinion. Now, granted, they didn't all go out and vote, obviously, but the most popular opinions were the fringe candidates. They were the non-establishment politicians, Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree, and I also had a problem with independence, which I understood where independents were coming from because they wanted to vote their conscience, and but to me, a vote for an independent was a vote for Trump. That was my opinion.
Oh, you talking about independents? Oh man, their
The
name
Green Party,
Jill Stein and Gary. I
yeah.
forget his name. I didn't find him too bright. I don't know much about Jill Stein, but he seemed like a good guy. He seemed like a decent guy. He just didn't
So was
seem
a
like
woman from the Green Party, but there was just no chance.
exactly. And you're right.
So you wasted your vote.
Exactly. I mean, we essentially could have had the election. Like you said,
Well,
if
no, not because of the electoral. I mean, she won by I can't remember how many votes. I mean, even though Trump said he did.
I think it was 3 million.
He's a liar. But
I forget.
yeah,
I think
something like 3 million.
I don't know. Yeah. So, I'm not going to go as far as Michael Moore and saying that, complaining about the way the system is in one sense, because I think he takes it a little too far. But at the same time, why can't we require politicians or candidates for president to win both the Electoral College and the popular vote in order to become president? Why does it have to be just the Electoral College? Because I understand the importance of the Electoral College. I don't think we should get rid of it. But I also feel like if you win an Electoral College and you lose the popular vote, How is that a democratic election?
Yeah, both of us would really have to study the Constitution because it was set up for a reason which I can't spit out right now, but
Well, it's very
it was set
complicated.
up for
Yeah.
a reason.
Well, one of the reasons I think it was set up, one of the big reasons, was so candidates didn't just flock to the major cities to to get as many votes as possible for their campaign. It forces them to go into rural areas, different parts of, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm
That
trying to say.
sounds familiar.
Yeah, so
I
if
read about it,
it's
but
to give everyone a voice, but at the same time, is it truly democratic? I mean, that's really the question. Is the Electoral College truly democratic? And was it ever intended to be truly democratic? We don't know. Really,
true.
only the founding fathers know what the intention was of having the Electoral College versus a popular vote. And we could go back and forth all day. There's pros and cons to both. I think we could agree.
Maybe there's somebody out there that knows more about it that can come on and tell us about it.
Yeah, and they should come on the podcast. That'd be awesome. So
Yeah,
let's
for sure.
yeah, let's get back on Trump. Um, I actually have a list here of things I wanted to talk
Oh,
about. Yeah, I made this list a couple of days ago. All right, he's been about a month in office. Um, I think the first thing that sticks out for me, this guy went in there and bam, 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 executive orders everywhere. Like just right off the bat. Now, granted, he did say he was going to go in and do the stuff. He's actually doing that. He is doing the things he said he was going to do. Why we allowed someone with some of these agendas into the highest office, arguably in the world, is beyond me. Diana, where have we gone as a nation where we actually felt this guy would be a good president?
well, I would say we.
Yeah, sure.
But I really think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that he wasn't a politician. That was number one. He was a businessman. Of course, all of his half of his businesses went bankrupt, and that's how he made his money. But that's beside the point. I mean, he said things that the Republicans have been actually setting up for a long time. Blame the other guy. It's the immigrants. It's it's the Muslims. It's these and taking the spotlight off themselves and the way they make money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And people bought it.
Yeah, they did. And I was actually surprised by that. I thought our country was a little smarter. I really did. And I'm still shocked to this
The
day.
dumbing down of America,
Yeah, and that's not to
American
be
idiot.
exactly, and that's not to be insulting. I don't want anybody to feel that way. I'm not trying to insult people, but I mean, this guy, I mean, I could tell way before the election that this guy was full of shit. I mean, the stuff he was saying, the promises he was trying to make. Oh, we're going to make the greatest jobs and the best jobs. We're going to stop crime. You can't stop crime. Like he made that statement. I don't remember which address it was. We're going to stop all crime. It was with Netanyahu a couple of days ago. We're just going to stop all crime. But no, you're not. That's unrealistic. That's not going to happen. The only way you can make that happen is if you killed everybody. And that would be a crime. So I don't understand how people bought into it.
The whole thing was that Hillary was establishment.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the Russian issue and the WikiLeaks. And, she was set up. Like I said, I was not a big Hillary person. I'm a feminist, but I didn't care if she was female or male. that wasn't an issue for me. But she was set up, and a lot of people out there had a very negative feeling about the government. And here's Trump. He's not government. He's gonna make changes. And the choice of Hillary was status quo. Everything will stay the same. And I think that was a big part of it.
Right. And you notice Hillary kind of jumped on the Bernie Sanders bandwagon toward the end.
Oh yeah, she started moving to the left, but
It's a shame
Truly.
because I feel like there are a lot of intelligent people in this country, and I think it would have been a very wise thing to elect someone as progressive as Bernie Sanders. Do I agree with everything that he says? Just like Obama, I didn't agree with everything that he said or
Right.
did. There's parts of the ACA that I don't agree with. Um, there's I don't agree with the $15 minimum wage. I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to get us in the direction where we think about minimum wage and where it should be, as opposed to in contrast to inflation. And I think you have to set a high number for that in order to get the number you actually want, which is much lower through bipartisan legislation. But so it was smart the way
Not
he approached it.
California.
Yeah, well, California's different. Yeah, California is very much more progressive than Pennsylvania.
It'll be $15 in a few years, you know.
It just doesn't make sense because the corporations, I think it's 581 billionaires now in this country
Yeah.
when it used to be in the double digits, and
And
poverty's
look at
become
his cabinet.
it's greed.
He cleared the swamp, all right, huh?
I don't know. It's just a mess. It's just a mess, and Trump's making it worse. And I'll start by what really started me. I wanted to give Trump a chance, Diana. I really did. I was like, okay, there are some things that I liked about Trump. There weren't many, but there were a few. I like how
Like
he was
what?
aggressively pursuing jobs. I didn't necessarily agree with trying to stamp out international trade agreements. I think that's a bad idea, based on the research I've done about it. Um, but he is a job creator before he became president. He created a lot of jobs. So I was willing to give him a chance on the jobs thing until he started going after these trade agreements, these international trade agreements, deregulating. You can't destroy the environment to create more jobs. And these are the things that the Trump administration is interested in doing. They want to deregulate to help the economy. But at what point is deregulating hurting us more than it is helping us? Yes, it might help grow the dollar, but we're also experiencing
Destroying our
we're
country.
destroying our country, we're destroying our planet from our CO2
Yeah.
emissions. So that method, and I didn't and he made an executive order about banning lobbying. But I think that only applied to his administration. I don't think he can apply that to Congress. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really know. So I wanted to
I
give him a
didn't even know
chance.
he did that. I didn't hear that.
Well, that's because the uproar has
Well,
been about
well,
his other executive orders. Um,
there's a lot of ways around lobbying, you know. I
oh
mean,
my
there's
gosh, yeah.
speakers, you know, inviting certain people to come and speak and then paying them for their speaking engagement. And there's a lot of other ways to get around it, actually.
Yep. Yep. And there's actually laws that protect politicians, but there's something called dark money, which is very, very, it's complex. The whole situation is complex. Campaign finance, donors, the whole thing is just it's corrupt. The bottom line, it's
But
corrupt.
I think the Trumpsters thought he was going to get. I mean, they really believed he was going to get rid of all that. I mean, if you read online now, there's a lot of people that voted for Trump that are very disillusioned. I mean, he's still got a lot of people.
And that's what I'm saying. How do people still support him when he's blatantly lied? A lot of his cabinets are people that basically bought their position. The
Exactly.
Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, or Defense, I forget which one. Um, he is the ex CEO of ExxonMobil. The guy is loaded. How can you, on one hand, say you want to get rid of this corporate greed and hold companies accountable, and then put them into your cabinet? Why is Ben Carson in his position with housing? He's a surgeon general. I could tell you why. He donated to Trump and he supported Trump, and Trump gave him the position. It just doesn't make any sense. The guy's not qualified to do the job.
I sort of look like. I mean, feel like Trump's mindset is almost like the mafia, loyalty above everything else.
Yes, it is. Why is Betsy
Yeah.
DeVos the education secretary?
because of her donations.
Exactly.
Loyalty above everything else.
And I don't even think they deny it. Like, they're just, okay, this is how she got her position. Everybody knows she's not qualified for the job. Everybody, even the supporters. But how much did she donate? I know she donated in the millions to his campaign. I don't know the exact figure. Like, how? And I sit here and I smack myself in the forehead. I'm like, how do you people not get it? Like, I get it. You don't want a Democrat in the White
Sort of
House.
like religion, right?
Yes. Well, yeah,
believe.
to a point. Religion, I think, is a little more of a brainwash thing than it is. Where I just think with politics, it's just we don't want a Democrat, so I'm voting in the
you're talking
Republican.
about the people that back him in spite of all the facts.
Yeah.
You know, it's they believe.
In fact, meaning
how
like,
else would you say it?
right. Well, do you mean like the arguments on whether, okay, for a good example is, no, we were created, the Earth is 3,000 years old, versus, okay, no, science has basically proven that no, it's not 3,000 years old. It is in the billions of years old. But, people don't want to believe science when science.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, to believe over fact.
Well,
obvious fact in those days.
Right. I said in my last audio cast, I think people just have a tendency to want to believe in something so bad that they're willing to take these drastic measures to back it up in their minds or try to convince other people. I'm not really sure if it's both, whatever.
It's beyond me.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did to Obama with his birth certificate, his birthday, I mean, it's like, and people really believe he's a Muslim. So what if he was? Who cares? But,
well, I mean, it's important, yes, but how in the world could that possibly happen through all the checks and balances of becoming president? That's what people don't think about. You understand the process of screening and backgrounds and stuff. Like, you don't just like, oh, I want to be president, I won the election. No, it's not that simple. They want to make sure Arnold Schwarzenegger cannot run for president because he was born in Austria. Now, he can be a governor, but he cannot run for president.
Right.
No, people just don't think about it like this. They're just like, oh, Alex Jones said it. InfoWars said it. Donald Trump said it. It must be true. And Diana, I don't like to, I'm not one of those people who be like, oh, Trump is Hitler. No, I don't think Trump's Hitler. I think that's an extreme knee-jerk reaction statement to make. Now, can you say... Right. But can you say that he's adopted some of the same philosophies, knowingly or not knowingly, that Hitler used? The Hitler, Stalin...
I don't think that's running the country, Brandon. I think that Banyan in particular and several other people that are in the cabinet are running the country. He's like, duh.
Yeah, it's almost like he's the mouthpiece.
He's taken like 4 vacations since he's been in office.
Yeah, I think he said he didn't have time. He wasn't going to have time to go golfing when he was in the White House.
I don't. 3 times.
Right. I don't care if you go golfing. I mean, that's fine, but don't say you're not going to and then do it. Like, everybody knows you need a vacation as president. So, but back on the whole dictatorship, Stalin tried it. I think Mao Zedong tried it. I don't know everyone's name, but the first thing they did was they went to war with the media. They literally went to war with the media, to the point even Vladimir Putin has taken action to shut down and silence media. That's scary. Yeah. And then Hitler went on to, and I posted this several weeks ago on my Facebook. Hitler then went on to convince an entire nation that Jews were responsible for the turmoil and the problems in the country.
Blame the other guy.
Blame the other guy. What is happening here? Who is the scapegoat right now for all of our problems in this country? Well, I can name two.
Mexicans,
Go ahead.
Mexicans, and Muslims.
You know what? I mean, I didn't even talk to you about this before, but you were able to name the same two exact demographics that I was going to say, and we haven't even talked about this before. It shows that I don't know that he's intentionally doing this. I'm not going to accuse him of that, but these are the same um, adoptions that previous dictators have used to gain authority and totalitarianism. It's
I agree.
scary. I've never been a conspiracy theorist. I never thought, oh, the government's out to get us. For the first time in my life, this guy is president, and the things he is doing to marginalize people like Muslims and people coming from Middle Eastern nations and calling Mexicans rapists and putting up a wall that we can't even afford. Um,
A law that the Mexicans can pay for.
which we all know that wasn't. That's another thing. How did we not know this? I knew we were never going to get Mexico to pay for a wall before Trump was
So
elected.
did I.
Like, people need to start thinking. Think, think, think. Don't believe everything you're told, for Christ's sake. Ah, man, it's frustrating. You don't have to agree with me, but man, think about it. Do your research. Stop being a puppet and believing everything you hear.
Well,
So,
the only good thing we can say about Trump is I think it's, to me, from what I'm seeing, I feel like I'm back in the 60s, marching against the war in Vietnam and marching with Martin Luther King. You know, people, young people, I mean, it's heartening to me, are getting involved. And that's what needs to happen for any change to happen.
it is. I love it too. I turn on the TV and I see the people standing up to what I believe is a dictator in the making. Now, do our checks and balances prevent that from happening? Well, I hope so. I hope so. But it is. I told Laura, my girlfriend, way before Trump was even elected. I said I've never actually been scared of someone possibly being a president. Not Bush, not Obama, not anybody, not even most of those Republican candidates. I was actually scared. But when I found out Donald Trump had a good shot at being president, I was starting to get a little bit scared
Me
because
too.
there's so many things there. What about Russia?
Me too.
What is going on with Russia? You have Michael
Well,
Flynn. Go ahead.
it's all about the money, honey.
But do you
It's
find
all
it?
about the investments.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you find it funny that Russians are hacking our election before the election happened? Um,
I don't
and
find it
and
funny.
after Trump is
Yeah.
president, he will not denounce Vladimir Putin. I think he said maybe one thing about Crimea and Ukraine. He says he's not going to introduce sanctions. Putin backed off retaliating against Obama once Trump became president. Um, then the people threatened to surface those videos about him with the sex workers, Trump. And now Michael Flynn has resigned, and he could possibly face federal charges for.
I don't think he's the only one.
That's what I'm saying. This all is starting to become a little bit clear. I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm a logical person. But if you're buddying with Russia now that you're president, and people are doing shady stuff with Russia now that you're president within your own cabinet, and they were accused of meddling in our elections, I would say that's worth at least looking into, which they're doing.
We'll see. I call Trump the tough one, man. Everything seems to slide off of him.
A friend of mine said, he said, or she said, that Trump will either resign or be impeached before his first term is over.
There are some psychics that are predicting that also.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of
But
scary, but it
then
is
when
heartening.
you're left with the same cabinet, then
Yeah, well, I think what one psychologist said on I watch Vice a lot, and Vice has this weekly news segment. Um, and one of the psychiatrists on there was said, I disagree with Mike Pence, um, but he's not insane. He,
Exactly.
that's the issue. I don't agree with anybody there, but Mike Pence is sane. Trump is not. He's not sane. He's narcissistic. He's a dictator. He just hasn't been able to do it because our courts, luckily, have kept him in check. And the people are doing a great job, like you had said, about standing
Yeah.
up to what people see as this person is becoming a dictator. He's taking things too far.
Well, I see as our next step the 2018 elections as far as local elections. So we got to get back control, some more checks and balances. But the Democratic Party really has to get their shit together. So, sorry.
Oh no, I don't care. Um, yeah, no. Well, I think what's nice about this whole Trump's presidency is I do think if there's any time the Democrats are going to start beginning to seize control back over the government, it's because of a presidency like Trump's, where even his home party turns against him. That's how bad it is.
And they are going to have to be more progressive for that to happen, which is a
They
good
are.
thing.
You're right, and I think that someone as extreme as Trump is going to inspire people to stand up, to go vote, to hold
Well, he
rallies.
obviously is.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean, Republican senators and can't even have town hall meetings anymore.
yeah, and that's the power of the people. That is the power, and
Yeah.
it's so nice to see that. It's so nice that we have at least not abandoned that. I saw. Did you see the picture on the Statue of Liberty that the activists put
Yeah.
up? Refugees are welcome
Did
here.
you see the Italian float?
No.
Uh, uh,
That were
if you didn't
rescuing
see it, I'll
refugees,
send it
right?
to you. Huh?
Were they the ones that were rescuing refugees? I saw the Italians' policy toward refugees, which was really heartening. But I'm not sure what you're
No,
talking about.
they had a parade. They did a float in
Okay.
Italy. I don't know exactly where it was, and it I can't explain it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send this to Brandy if anybody wants to see it.
Yeah. Well, I'll end up posting it at some point, I'm sure. But eventually, I want to do video on this kind of stuff. So one day we'll actually be able to present these graphics. But when you take the other thing that just really bothers me about Trump is, and the people back him up, is how callous and cold we are being to people that are facing imminent death. And these are people just like us from countries like Syria and Iraq, Somalia, places that are feeling that are fleeing imminent death. And these are children and women and men. I want to know as people, how can we bring ourselves to the point? Who have we become when we start turning our
Good
backs
question,
on the
huh?
people that need us most? Who are we as Americans? And secondly, if we're a Christian nation, we need to stop calling ourselves that because I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
I agree.
there's nothing Christ-like about that. Nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, where in the Bible, where does Jesus say, well, if someone comes to you in need, make sure you turn them away because this land is your land?
To the least of them is what Christ said.
Yeah, he said, yeah, that's how you treat people that
Give to
the
the least
needy.
of them.
I see it, you see it, it's plain as day. But like in my previous cast, people have a very, very rigid view of what Christianity and what they think it is. And it's wrong. It's not even correct. And that's
I
if
agree.
you even believe in God, which I don't. But I mean, the people that claim to love Him so much and are so dedicated to Him are willing to turn away people in need, which is the sole purpose for the writings of Jesus. That's exactly what he was talking about, being kind and compassionate. Do you get what I'm saying?
I exactly know what you're saying and totally agree. It's mind blowing to me,
Exactly.
but it's like happens in many religions. You know, if you talk to a Muslim, they'll tell you that isn't what our religion is about. The terrorists, the
Right.
extremists. That's not what our religion is about. Just as we, being raised Christians, can look at what's happening and say, this is not what Christianity was about.
No.
You know?
Yeah, I just that just blows my mind. That a whole country can latch on to this idea of what could be a very, very good religion. Um, and they do exactly what Christ taught against. He taught against the religious practices and the do's and don'ts and judging people. The stuff that the church was doing to your normal and average citizen, they were marginalizing people, judging people, trying to stone people. They ultimately killed him. Um, because they were so
But they
caught up
ran
in,
on
in,
the
in
Romans.
they were so caught up in tradition and religion and do's and don'ts that they totally forgot. They
And
totally missed the whole meaning of what Jesus was trying to convey.
Well, what I say about religion when I talk, if somebody asks me what religion are you, I say I'm no religion and I'm all religion, because organized religion has a fine thread of God, of love that runs through it. The rest of it is man's ego and control.
That's yeah. I know. I'm not sure if you listened to it or not, but you need to listen to the last one I did, which I sent to you. I actually touched on that a lot. We should maybe devote an entire segment to that sometime. Because I know both of us have a lot to say about that, and maybe possibly bring another person on. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
that'd be great.
Yeah. Um. So before I want to get this in here, you have a very unique perspective on religion, God, spirituality. Are you able to put that into a couple paragraphs and tell everybody your idea of what that is?
Gee, I have to think about that. Um,
No, that's fine. If you can't do it off the top of your head right now, that's fine. But as a segue into the religious talk, which you kindly led us into, thank you. Um, I touched on what agnostic meant in my last thought, but I never actually got to talk about what atheist means. Agnostic, which I explained in the last audio cast, was basically taking the position of not knowing. I don't know if there's a God. I've never seen him. I can't prove it. Neither can you. So I'm going to sit here and say, I don't know, because that's the most honest thing I can conclude from that. But atheist literally means without religion. So I don't know if there's a God, and I'm not going to associate myself with a religion for the same reason that you don't, correct?
my my definition of agnostic is a little bit different than yours.
Okay.
I believe in an agnostic believes there is a higher power.
Okay.
They believe. I mean, this is what I feel, and this is what I thought. I have to look it up in the dictionary, I guess. Is
Well,
that
no, I know
you
what you're
believe there
saying.
is a higher power,
Mm.
but you don't name it because it's beyond your ability to understand. But you do believe there is a higher power.
Well, I think with the term agnostic, it's actually changed meaning over the years because you're right. At one point, that is what it meant. It meant that you believe, but you can't explain it. And I think it's kind of taking, people have defined it now as, I don't know, quote unquote, I don't know. But yes, I don't believe. I'm open to it. I can't explain a lot of stuff. You're right. I just can't. Um, so while I'm open to there being a God, I'm just not sold out to it. But you're different in that area, and I respect that.
Yeah, I feel. I feel there is. I mean, I feel it.
Hmm. Explain that a little
In
bit
fact,
because we've talked about that. You say you feel it because you feel like it's an energy, correct?
exactly,
You feel like God is all around.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is I think a lot of people perceive me as someone who's anti-God, anti-religion. I'm really not. I'm not anti-God at all. I just don't see the evidence there. And I'm not anti-religion. The only reason I'm anti-religion is because I see religion being used constantly for evil purposes. And that's why I'm so critical of it.
I think religion and God are two different things.
Yeah.
It's man's interpretation of God, you know, that causes all of that, and that's what I mean when I say man's ego.
Okay, explain that one.
Okay, religion. Um, it's man's ego that they understand that this is the truth, that God spoke, and you know that's man's ego.
Okay. So
God is
I know what you're
God is
saying. It is
love.
hard to
God is
put it
a
into words.
feeling. God is a feeling. God is love.
Mhm.
You know,
So what you're
not.
yeah. Well, yeah, I think it kind of goes along the lines of um I saw Ricky Gervais make this comment to Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert is Catholic. I love Colbert. I love Ricky Gervais. Ricky Gervais is atheist. And he said, here's the difference between you and me. There's about 3,000 gods, that people believe in. For example, 3,000, you could put any number there. There's probably more or less than that. Who knows? But he said, um, I believe, you believe that there is one God that's real, and there's 2,999 gods that aren't. I believe one less than you. Because
I believe all doors lead to the same God.
right, and if I were religious, I would feel that way too. Because if you want an omnipotent, all-loving being, I mean, how could you say that and punish somebody for taking in Islam or being raised in Islam over Christianity? You know what I'm saying? Like the
That's man's ego.
people thinking their particular religion is superior to other religions. I'm sorry, but you missed the whole point.
Ego.
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 There's a good way to explain it. This it's a superiority thing. I mean, and that's another issue I have with these religions, especially the major ones. It's a superiority thing. Mine's superior to yours. Like how? How did you conclude that? For real. So,
Well,
um, I'm gonna wrap it up here.
okay.
Dinah, it's been really
I,
fun. I enjoy talking to you about this stuff. Come on
I
again.
enjoy
Let's
talking
do
to
this.
you too.
Yeah, let's do this
Absolutely.
again.
All I need is an invite.
Well, you'll definitely get one again. Thanks again, and I want to wish you a happy evening was what I was going to
Happy,
say,
happy.
but that didn't sound very good at all. But anyway, all right, this has been Indepencils. Thanks again, Diana. We're gonna sign off now.
Okay.
Stay tuned for
All
the
right.
next one.
Talk to you soon.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.